Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast. My name is Jake, and we're at
City?
Hell City. I always point like it's a Hell City banner, but it's not. It just says, hey, we're Fireside. That's it. That's us. We're here with Dave Koenig. Thanks for coming in, man.
Well, thank you for having me.
We ended up as roommates, or as neighbors, booth
neighbors.
Yeah, this weekend, so I've gotten to see some of your work. You motored through that half sleeve yesterday. It's like you were drawing it 1 second, and I did a little tattoo, and I looked up, and you're like, wrapping it up.
No, the guy said amazingly, so I had the ability to actually get it done. So
Yeah.
it was pretty fortunate. It was crazy. So
Yeah, man, that was a giant piece to get through, and it looked awesome.
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Omaha, Nebraska. You tattoo out of Omaha.
Yes.
So how big of a town is Omaha? For like,
It's small city size. Not as
Like-
big as St. Louis, but it's
Like
big
a-
enough where you might not see somebody for years.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's a city. All I knew about it is that Warren Buffett lived there, and he has a giant Does he have a giant furniture place there?
He's an investor in
Yeah.
it. Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Yeah, like the largest furniture.
It's so
thing.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's a cool town. You got good people out there. They're definitely hard people, but very friendly.
Is he the biggest local celebrity? I mean,
I would
it's gotta
probably
be.
say so in Omaha. Definitely.
He's one of the biggest, I guess. I mean, it's weird for.
They just had like an
investor
HBO special on him. I watched that. It was amazing,
Yeah.
actually. But yeah, he definitely is. He's
Yeah.
cool. He's a good guy.
Yeah. I love his. I've got a book of his, like, just quotes, these little one-liners. And I love how he just like simplifies everything into the most dumbed down terms, and then makes you feel dumb for not already thinking of it that
The guy
way.
doesn't even use a computer. You know, he's just like, this is how it is. But I remember meeting him in high school. I've met him a couple times and stuff like that. Yeah, he's a good guy. I just remember in high school, I remember I was sneaking outside having a cigarette on high school grounds, and I remember seeing this little beat up Oldsmobile pull up, and this old man getting out, and he was dropping papers, and I remember running over there, and I was like, I got to help this guy out. So I go over there, I'm helping him pick up papers. He's, oh, thank you, whatever. And I was in high school, I didn't know Warren Buffett or what he looked like.
Yeah.
And then I helped him, and then we go in, and then I remember they had this big presentation. This billionaire was going to actually talk to the school.
Oh, really?
And it was this old man. But yeah, he had a beat up little old car. He wasn't, nothing special. But that's what I like about him is that sort of integrity.
I've heard
cool,
that. I've heard that he lives in the same house that he built like in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, it's
or
a
something
beautiful
like that.
house. Actually, I used to drive past it every day to work. So it's just like, it's not like a mansion, but it's a nice house.
Yeah.
A lot of old money in Omaha. So
Yeah. Well, that wraps up this episode about Warren Buffett.
there we go.
It's like, tune in next
What
week.
about tattoos?
Fireside Financial. So what's the tattoo culture like there? There's a lot. You were just saying there are a lot of pretty solid.
Yeah, there's a lot of
artists
solid shops in Omaha. Actually, there's a lot more than I thought. I think we're up to like 70-something shops in that town.
Isn't that crazy?
And,
how many can you like? I heard that recently about Memphis. Not that many, but like 40-something. And to me, I was like, dude, I could name 10, maybe. Where?
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you feel?
you can. I mean, I hate saying this because I don't want to discredit anybody, in smaller shops that I'm not familiar with, because
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like hidden talent that I don't know about in town,
Sure.
But the thing about it, though, is like you can generally name the main shops that a lot of people go to, and where that there's good tattooers, and good artists, But it's crazy. It's crazy to think that,
Yeah, it absolutely is, man. It's just completely blown up everywhere. Like Memphis, Omaha. When you feel like New York or someplace like I go to Austin and I'm like, holy shit, dude, there's it's like a tattoo shop
Austin
on either
is cool.
side
Yeah,
of,
like every
of a
block.
coffee shop.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nuts. Do you how often do you travel? Like, what's your
I travel about every month. I try I'm anticipating next year on making that a little bit less. I've got a 1.5-year-old boy at home, and so it makes it a little hard to leave him. More for me, I think, than him. But I try to every month, and then I try to get over go to a couple other countries at least twice a year too. So if I can, but. It all depends.
Yeah. What do you feel like you get a lot out of it? You always kind of learning a lot, traveling, or what do you think is the kind of the biggest advantages to it?
Well, I think generally when I first started traveling, it was more for fun. Go places. go party, hang out. You're at a tattoo convention. I wasn't really like taking the career as serious.
Yeah.
But then as time progressed, then once I started traveling, I really got a lot out of doing guest spots. I started going and finding tattooers that I admire their work, and then going and guest spotting with them, and then you start to learn different things. And then, and it's always great when you meet some of these guys and they're like, cool people that, pretty much view life the same way that you do, you know. But, yeah, then I started realizing that traveling, it's all about learning to some degree. You go and you start to learn, and then you might be bringing something to the table for them to learn. And then, basically we're all just a support system for each other in the industry. And, it's great because then I get a little more traveling done, and then I come back home to the shop that I work at, and I show them different little things that I've learned, and then it helps advance them, And I don't know, it's awesome. It's awesome that I do miss the days when tattooing was a little more of a mystery and the roughness and quiet. But I think it was kind of cool. There was a nostalgia about it, but. I do appreciate the days of traveling and people being open and being able to like share each other's secrets and or their techniques, so that you can kind of use it at home and stuff. I mean, that's better in it.
We were just talking a little while ago to Aaron Delavedova, and we had a similar conversation where it's like, I remember for the first 3-4 years I was tattooing, I was even nervous to ask other people in my shop questions, afraid that they would be like, dude, you're tattooing and you don't know that? And like, it's been a complete 180 since then, where, now we have a show where we're like, people are just throwing out ideas, and we're not teaching a lot of technical know-how or anything, but we're sharing a lot of drawing ideas. We're sharing a lot of like business ideas, managing clientele ideas, and that kind of stuff. Was like, I never even in my wildest dreams thought that would be a thing. That we'd be sitting in front of a camera talking about that for other tattooers.
It is crazy. It is crazy how the times have changed. I mean, I started tattooing, which I'm embarrassed to say sometimes, about 16 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like I've only taken it super serious in the last, 3 years, maybe 4.
What do you think made that transition for you? Just age?
Yeah, I think age, and I think, I don't know. I think it was a frame of mind. I hit a point. I hit a point where I was pretty... I wasn't too happy tattooing, and then I wasn't happy, and I was a very negative person, and then I decided one day, I was like, why am I being an asshole? So I decided one day, I was like, I'm going to be a positive person. And then when that happened, you attract other positive people. And the next thing you know, you're excited about your career again, and that just got me excited about it. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go travel to these places. I'm going to go meet these people, and it just becomes all inspiring, and then it encompasses your work, and then you become more about it, and I don't know, you just kind of keep that momentum going, and it's great.
It seems like it feeds on itself too, because you get to a point where you've built a decent following, and people, they see you're coming to a show in their town and they want to get tattooed, and then you almost created a situation where you have to outdo yourself every day because people they're saving their money. They're looking forward to man, he's going to be in town.
The pressure,
next week. The pressure builds, and you're like, man, I can't half-ass anything anymore.
Or if any people are like, hey, I'm traveling from this side of the country to Omaha, Nebraska or something, you're just like, well, I can't fuck this one up, so I better work hard. But it's cool, and it's a privilege, man. I'm very grateful. It's a lot of hard work, but it's awesome.
Yeah, and just that it's funny how like you start to put in that work, start taking it seriously, and then it feeds on itself, and you're like, well, now my clients make me take it seriously, because if I'm going to demand whatever the rate that I'm demanding, if I'm going to demand the travel that's required of them and the dedication on their part, then I can't half-ass anything.
Pretty much.
Similarly, I hit a wall in tattooing where I felt like I was just kind of going through the motions every day. I knew what worked for me. My clients seemed to be okay with it. Memphis is a smaller tattoo town, so it's easy to be a big fish in a little pond there. And so you're just like, they're cool with what I do. I knew I wasn't pushing myself, but
you were at a comfortable state.
I was in a comfortable state forever, and kind of like you, it got to the point where I was like, I don't want to go tattoo today. And the thing that I did differently is I started taking painting workshops. I started going around. I was like, I'm just going to focus on other things and not tattooing. Little did I know that would just like fuel tattooing for me, because I instantly would hear a painter say something, or I would hear a painter say something and instantly be like, can I plug that into tattooing? I'm gonna see about that. I'm gonna try that. And you just find other methods to like re-engage yourself. I guess
that's exactly it. I mean, I tattooed for I think I tattooed 10 years, and then I decided to leave Omaha, and I went out and I moved out to I think it was in Fort Lauderdale. And when I was out there, of course, I moved out there when the recession hit, and I was out there twiddling thumbs. And then next thing you know, I go from a town at the time that had 50 tattoo parlors to a town that had 450 tattoo parlors. And you're just going, okay, competition, recession, all this stuff. And, but I mean, my biggest thing that I was, I'm not going to sit there and twiddle thumbs. And so I was like, well, I got to teach myself to paint. Yeah. Before that, I did some painting, but it was more like graffiti painting. Nothing I excelled at. And so, I did the same thing. I was like, okay, I got to start doing something with my time that's productive. But you take that and you take your hobbies and you make your hobbies something that will pay off, and then it's springboards back and forth to tattooing. So, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Talk just for a second about what got us talking about even doing the show was that you've got a couple of prints out there where you've been painting on wood a little bit lately, and I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, I bet our following or whatever. What do you call these people? Viewers. Our viewers would might get something out of your approach, but you've been doing some watercolor painting on board, like on wood.
Yeah, either like a wood veneer or I'll just go to like Home Depot or Lowe's or I don't know, whatever hardware stores that, and get that like cabinet backing. It's basically just wood veneer adhered to plywood, and it's cheaper than watercolor board and watercolor paper. I mean, that's what I used to always draw on.
Yeah.
But I like wood, and I like the wood grain, and I like using that into the art. I think it's kind of classy. I've always wanted to carve or work with wood, but I don't have the patience for that. Yeah. And I figure, you know what, I'll paint on it, and I've seen other artists do it, and it's like I've seen it, and it's like, wow, it's amazing, But I wanted to watercolor because I like to liquid acrylic watercolor. Right. I like to spit shade. I like the traditional tattooer style painting, and so I picked up some of that board, and I actually I think I kind of got the idea from my buddy Ryan Findell, who tattoos out in Florida. But I saw him do it on little wood panels, and he was watercoloring. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, sometimes it gets in the grains. And then one day on accident, like I got some, and then I sanded it. And then instead of like trying to clean off all the dust, I just left it on there. I took a workable fixative and I sprayed it. And basically it just adheres all that dust on there. Yeah. And then I was getting perfect blends, and I always have to do, what's the gentleman's name? Troy Tipple, Villains Art.
Oh,
guy.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
Think you're right.
But he was nice enough. He came in, he was showing me his amazing paintings, and I was like, that's so cool, and then he's like, yeah, you want to do it on maple or, or like cedar, like those don't bleed as much. And so I got tips from him, which was great. And then, and then I can watercolor, I can spit shade, get nice blends on it. And, it's actually cheaper than watercolor paper, and it looks cool.
And you've got that kind of textural effect of the wood grain behind it. So we were talking a little bit yesterday at the booth about some of the Japanese like Audrey Kawasaki and Amy Soul so using that stuff, and they'll almost kind of use like in a landscape way, like turn it where the grain's going this way, and like use the grain to like make the shape of the water or whatever. I'm like,
use the flow. I got a new piece I'm working on, and it's I picked up some cedar, and the cedar wood grain is real twisty and everything. Yeah. I'm pretty stoked about it, but it's fun. That, and it's like, if I got wood grain that's real curvy and twisty, then I'll make sure to have some sharp, hard lines in there because I like that dynamic, the duality and stuff like that. Yes.
Yeah. Do you bring a lot of that back? I mean, does it help out with tattooing at all?
Yeah, you got to pick and choose. Like a lot of my paintings, I've had some guys tell me they're like, those paintings are too detailed. They don't translate good as tattoos. I'm like, well, that's because it's a fucking painting. It's not a tattoo. But the thing about it though is if I take, like when I take some of my artwork and I like the style, painting I think helps backbone like how I want to draw or how I want to create something or even refine something. But you also have to put in consideration of your medium, and if I'm doing something on skin, and with knowing how skin ages or with how, the types of skin and, and how tattoos, the pigments you're using, the ink you're using, you have to, certain things have to be simplified or it's presented better. It's bold, Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of my paintings, like I've had people ask for certain pieces. I'm like, it's no problem, but I am going to have to simplify this so that you're happy with your tattoo 10 years down the road,
Yeah. And so your tattooing, I mean, from a technical standpoint, your application, you have a very kind of traditional way of of applying tattoos. Would you say?
Yeah, I
But
think
more
so.
of an illustrative kind of drawing style. Is that?
I think
fair?
so. I guess and it's hard because I don't know how to. I don't even know how to define a style. I just draw things the way I draw it, I guess. And I love doing traditional. I'll follow the rules of American traditional. It's probably people can tell I drew it.
Yeah.
If I'll follow the rules if I'm doing an Asian influence tattoo, and but I guess my style speaks through it somehow,
Yeah.
and that's something I wish I could pinpoint and explain easier, but the only thing I always tell people is just perpetual refinement rather than just drawing like a woman's face one way. I sit and I just keep working on it and doing it, writing down new ways to kind of make it better and refine it over time. And sometimes you go back to old ways and, it's just.
It's constant kind of experimentation.
It's art. It's a living entity in itself. It's always evolving,
Yeah, yeah. I think, and it's that kind of work ethic, I guess, that sets people, that whenever people can, flip through their Instagram feed and go like, oh yeah, that's Dave's work. I know that. It's because it's because of that work that goes in on the front end. I mean,
lots of hard work.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love it when people are like, "You're talented." I'm like, if you saw how hard I worked, you wouldn't think I was that talented.
yeah, that's what I do a lot. I probably draw way more than I should. I think that's, people are always kind of trying to grasp onto or find their identity as as an artist, as a tattooer, especially in tattooing, because we feel like we have to, there are only a handful of boxes. You got to go in one of those things, man. You got to fit in one of them, and so people will try to find which one is their box real quickly, and I think we end up shortchanging ourselves a lot. As
soon as you associate yourself with a specific label, then all you're doing is handcuffing yourself.
Yeah.
Then you're stuck there.
Right. Do you pull influence more from other tattooers, more from life, more from other illustrators, painters, or
I try to pull from just about anything. Anything that gets you excited. A lot of life things. But my biggest thing is I like anything with a level of antiquity. I like things that have that level, that there's almost something haunting to it.
Yeah.
And with that for some reason, that's what I'm drawn to. And and I even before I even start drawing, I like to kind of build my environment, with the right music or scent or different things like that to kind of put you in that mood, because essentially when we're drawing, I mean, you're in a meditative state. And the thing about it is your subconscious and conscious are finally meeting, and you can create. And the thing about it is, so when you do that, you got to, build that environment to put you in that state.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
some people
absolutely.
like to, people like to use substance, and some people, there's all sorts of ways that people put themselves in that holotropic state of consciousness, I suppose.
Yeah. Do you feel like I hadn't thought of it that way, but antiquity, I can't say the word antiquity. And kind of and haunting. Those are good adjectives for your work, I think, and I hadn't thought of it that way. Do you think that your clientele recognizes that?
I don't know. I think it's funny because I feel like my stuff. I have a style, but then it's like it has an old feel to it, and that's what I'm trying to. I don't know. I guess I conjure through it. Because. I believe, and it depends. I guess I don't know if this would be the definition of what a tattooer, a craft, or an artist. But I believe, to some degree, with my drawings or anything, I try to find purpose in what I'm creating, and that way you can create some sort of soul. I guess that's why somebody just told me the other day. They're like, "I've never seen you do a tattoo that doesn't have a face," and I was like, "Well, I guess I never even thought about that." But the thing is I guess with when you have a face in there, you're creating some sort of emotion.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that even answered your question. So.
No, yeah, absolutely. I just wonder, because I think that there sometimes the ways that we there's subtle differences from one painter, tattoo, or artist to another, and people are drawn to one person for whatever reason, and they're willing to fly to Omaha to get tattooed or whatever it is, and you wonder, well, what do they recognize, and is it the same thing that I think that I bring to the table? You know what I mean? I just always kind of wonder that. I wonder if you felt like your clientele had a good grasp on it. We were talking about it on a show the other day, but someone commented on I started a sleeve recently that's very dynamic and a lot of hard lines and stuff, and not at all like what I'd normally do? And they were like, oh, it's crazy to see you do something that's not swirly or flowy, swirly, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never thought do I do swirly tattoos? I didn't know that. Is that true? And like, but you get someone else's perspective, like, oh, swirly. All right.
Swirly. Yeah, I've been told that.
Yeah.
That or when they associate your tattoos to look like things you don't like, or you're like, somebody's like, your girls kind of remind me of something anime. I'm like, no, fuck that, man. No, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but I'm like, okay, everybody's going to translate your work their own way.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what the world likes in each person's eyes. So
yeah. What's your kind of work process like? Are you doing mostly larger scale stuff back in Omaha?
Yeah, most of the stuff in Omaha is larger scale. I do seem to have a good amount of people coming in that are like 1 day, 2 day sessions now that are coming in from out of town. But in Omaha, mostly larger scale. I don't know. I never really imagined that I would tattoo something in that scale. But then I don't know, seeing some other tattooers that I've worked with and then getting a lot of tips from them and looking at that, it just inspired me to be like, yeah, I'm going to take it, and I think last year I did 6, pretty much back pieces from like neck to maybe ankle,
Oh, wow.
And I got 3 of them finished.
Wow.
It's hard to get them to all to kind of stay consistent, but I was trying to have people that would commit that were from my town so that they would actually have it finished. And then I could kind of put that out there, and with the idea that like, hey, I like doing these, and it's worked because now I've got a lot of people requesting to get back pieces and things like that. So it's nice.
How does that affect you coming to shows like this? I just wonder, I just realized whenever I was watching it, I put my book out there and I realized going through it, there's nothing but sleeves and back pieces because I don't travel to tattoo a lot. We travel to do the show, but I don't tattoo a lot at conventions. So everything I'm working on is at home, and it's all large scale. So I realized people were flipping through my book, and I'm like, well, no one's starting a back piece here. I mean, like, what do you feel like people will flip through and be like, oh, this is all overwhelming. I can't. They don't see anything.
I could kind of. It could be. I mean, that's like. I was just talking to somebody, and that's why I was like, they're like, you don't have more prints, Yeah. I'm like, well, I only usually bring 2 or 3 because if I put out a ton of them, people, it's like they're overwhelmed, and then they won't, then they can't make a decision, and they're like, oh, I have to think about it, and then they forget about you, And sometimes they're overwhelmed with that, but I don't know. I mean, but then on the other hand, they might be looking at it and going, well, obviously this guy knows how to tattoo, and he can do my little tattoo that I want, So I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I was just curious. I hadn't thought of it either until I was watching people flip earlier this weekend, and it kind of jumped into my head. So are you taking on like a handful of big projects and closing your books? Are you always booking, or what? How do you handle it from like a managerial standpoint?
Right now, I'm very fortunate to have a problem of being booked up. So I close my books, and then I try not to take anything new. Like I've taken a few tips from watching like Frank Sinatra and how he ran his books, or Jeff Gogoway how he did his, or Matt Stebley, and I'm like, oh, okay, I've got a few ideas. Yeah. But the thing about it is, a lot of the time, what I'll do is I'll book up things, and then for these big, large projects, I'll make like I have 2 schedules. I'll make a schedule where it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to book out how long would it take for me to finish this whole sleeve, and then I'll have a pretty good guesstimation on how long it will take, and then I'll make one schedule where they're in every month, and then what I'll do is I'll have that, and then that projects like how long I'm actually booked out for, how long it's going to take. But then what I do is I actually only book people about 4 months to 5 months in advance, and give or take, now that I'm getting a lot of people traveling in, then I'll go ahead and book them down a year down the road or whatever. I'm selective about it, but that way when it comes to like family vacations or anything that I have, or travels I want to do, then I can kind of coincide it. But I don't know. I'm still this is all very new to me. It's only been a couple of years of me like going, wow, and so now I'm trying to learn as the process goes. So
that seems like sometimes that's a real transition issue for tattooers as they start to build a following, and now especially with social media, it's new to everybody unless you just started tattooing and blew up. Which
social media is great, man. Yeah, you think about it, like no one been looking at my Omaha ass, if it wasn't for like Instagram and all that stuff. So
but it's funny because a lot of people you can tell they struggle to figure out how to they don't write any processors, or they're not used to following any type of system or anything. And so I know recently I had someone that was looking to start a sleeve, and they contacted me, and I just use like Square Scheduler, and I just shot him the link, and I was like, yeah, book a consultation time that works for you. And when he showed up for the consultation, he was like, holy shit, dude, I didn't even need to see any more work or hear anything. Just you being organized enough to like shoot me a link of your schedule. He's like, every other tattooer
awesome.
I talk to is like, yeah, I'll get you in whenever. He's like it's the most fly by night group of people.
I'm still horrible about it. I know I've had a few people complain about it, and it's hard to get a hold of you and do this. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm working on it. I really am. And now I have a couple people who will come help me and do some scheduling and stuff like that. But it's just so weird. I draw pictures.
Right. Like, why do I need an assistant to draw
pictures?
Like, I can hold my own pen.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
So if someone is looking to get in touch with you to try to book, are you taking anything now, or if they want to book for in the future?
Well, what I usually do is they can always hit me up. I've noticed that it seems to be the preferred method is for them to contact me through email. You know, you can always go on my website, and then you'll fill out a consultation sheet on the website,
right? And
then that emails to me, and then what happens is I look through and I kind of pick and choose, and then I respond to those, and then I can put you on a waiting list, and I can give you an estimated time that it's going to be and things like that.
Yeah, we'll put all that information down here in case you're interested and want to look to get booked. Make the trip to Omaha, check out the furniture store, maybe attend a Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting.
You got it.
Are those
Hathaway
huge?
Annual meeting. Yeah,
it's like.
Or the College World Series, whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. It's all there. Well, man, thanks so much for taking the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So.
Thank you all. TattooImprovement.com. Sign up. You'll to stay up to date with, where we're going, what we're doing, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Awesome, man.